following dramatic reading will have the content warnings of hypnosis and panic attacks. If you are uncomfortable in any sense of the word, you are free to leave the video for a little bit and then come back later if you feel comfortable enough. But if you want to proceed onwards, just know that you have been warned. Fox, 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 fox. Kamisato Ayato chanted your name, voice dipping into a borderline death threat. My dear producer, isn't this far enough? I am not playing games anymore. Why don't you reveal yourself before I make you? You made no sound inside the closet you claustrophobically folded your knees and arms to fit into. Not up to it? Oh, but what if I started counting to three? You bit your lip, holding back tears. A moment ago, you saw him rip his pillows in half after realizing you were no longer sleeping in his bed. Cotton materials were littered above his azure sheets, and some were swept by the wind, dangerously close to the closet you were hiding in. His elegant demeanor crumbled, and you jolted at the sharp sound of torn cloth. Ayato repeatedly clawed through the bed, his breathing guttural and erratic, as he fruitlessly threw the rest of the pillows away. Your name no longer sounded right to you. It doesn't sound like it was yours with the way he mumbles it like a curse or a lost possession. Although his face couldn't be seen from this perspective, you can still picture his lips being uncannily spread from ear to ear. Your muscles tense even more at the sound of his furious, strained laughter. You don't know where you are, but based on how isolated the area was, you're clued on a bit as to approximately where he's keeping you hidden. This is not his estate. This is not any of Teyvat Productions' buildings. The answer is closer to these keywords. Grand Narukami Land Reform Program. You felt your heart pounding in your chest as his footsteps echoed louder, closer. Nausea started creeping in. Be quiet. Be quiet like a fox. Come now, Producer Fox. Do you no longer trust me? I'll start counting. 1, 2. It's 3 o'clock, sir. Where have you been? Dressed in fine yet slovenly material, Kamisato Ayato enters the room. Looking from afar tells you what you need to know about him. Yes, he is a byproduct of an aristocratic family who pursued an artistically sensitive path of politics. But by his smile alone, anyone could tell that he's a notable outlier. The corners of his eyes crinkled as he stared at you. As always, his lean body stands firm, not unlike an hinoki tree on a misty morning. This is precisely the reason why your eyes targeted his wet clothing and not his well-versed smile. Unimpressed by his absence while you were out working for the entire day, you asked as politely as you could. You have been bombarded with tasks as of late, disastrously to the point that you even started managing the Inazuman food supplies in the cafeteria. Sir Kamisato, may I inquire as to why you look positively haggard? The idol grins wryly at your voice before squeezing some locks of his hair near his scalp. His pursed lips belied both childlike innocence and wariness of a man without youthful aspirations. Some sweat also seeped between his fingers, which only served to amplify your distress. Ayato averted his gaze, intent on answering you without giving too much of himself away. It was a difficult singing session, and the space lacked ventilation. It's snowing, he deadpanned. Ayato shrugged. It's a mixture of both and sweat and snow, I suppose. You snatched the script off his hands. Needless to say, he was definitely not practicing a song. Didn't Thoma or Child agree to accompany you? Before making the switch to idol work, Child was once known as Tartaglia in the theater industry. You suspect he's the reason behind Ayato's current fixation on acting. It's not a secret that Sir Kamisato has been eyeing the Baron's sixth and seventh spots of the Commedia dell'arte troupe for quite a while now. Toma attended a talk show with Aether and Zhongli, whereas Child was preoccupied with his training. Archery training most likely for that man's next athletic competition. But you're not producer Sage, so you don't particularly care. Your eyebrows furrowed. Do you want to stay in Andix longer than necessary? For a moment, his expression stiffened before it relaxed back into his usual languid smile. If a well dressed atheist quietly sits through a mass, most devotees cannot tell whether they're worshipping or attending. The same reasoning can be used to explain Kamisato Ayato's reputation. The juxtaposition of the perfect princely archetype paired with a stress out overachiever. That was your opinion on him for the first few weeks you worked in Teyvat Productions. And you were right. Sir Kamisato has always been open to you about his detachment from the idol group. In his eyes, every addict's related activity is a mere play pretend worthy enough for him to generate fabricated happiness to fuel his agendas. His idol works are not so different from the Nihonga pieces the Kamisato clan collected throughout the generations. A beautiful artwork, but not something he's deeply involved in. His career thrived off countless facework and dramaturgical approaches in fan interactions. False, but not cheap. He is what the creative director and his assistant made him out to be, and he doesn't seem content or completely dissatisfied with this arrangement. It's obvious that he's not here to satisfy Ayaka's obsession with the idol industry. He's your boss simply because there's a political gain you aren't privy to know the details to. You'd wager a guess that this career shift likely has something to do with the Kamisato clan's reform scandal. But you're not here for politics. Lady Yai always watches your every move to make sure you know little regarding the real paperwork Sir Kamisato does. However, you can't help but feel as if you were involved with one of these scandals before. You just can't remember what incident it was. My apologies, Producer Fox. I'll not do it again. As you should, you pouted. You caused me a great deal of worry. I had to open his mouth before quickly shutting it. For a supposed political hair, words had failed him. His posture resembled that of an abandoned puppy as he slouched and sighed. Open mind, open arms. You let him hug you gently as Ayato mumbled something about his workload. You're so used to this that you didn't mind how uncomfortably damp his back was. This is a normal occurrence between you two. After nearly half a year, I had to open up about missing his sister's hug after a long day, and he offered to be a substitute. You ran your fingers through his sweaty hair, feeling and breathing softly near the shell of your ear. Producer Fox. Yes? I must memorize the script before sundown. You shook your head. How surprisingly predictable of him to bring that up. I won't let you pick it up until you have a 30-minute rest. Why don't we make this a game, then? He pulled back, a sly smile gloating just a bit to let you know he doubts you'd win. This will be our second acting game. See which one of us can perform the script best. Win, and I'll be the one finishing this week's paperwork. As an older brother, Sir Kamisato has a habit of inventing games. The reading game, cursive writing game, and hot pot game were all unmistakably created to discipline and make his younger sister Ayaka behave. However, she's now a young adult, and you are unquestionably much older than she is. You're not clear as to why he believes this acting game tactic would work. But the second acting game? You've never read a script aloud with him before, though. Oh well. Picking up the script is worth trading the paperwork you were meant to be doing. If it lessens my workload, I don't see why not. Working for the idol industry can be very demanding after all. If you win, you'd probably squander your spare time to snack on sweets and work on a few chores. Okay, so you're not the best at being still. You'll probably multitask while working on Ayato's theater work either way. That, or you'd plan a new deck for your next 25-minute TGC game with him. He grabbed the script from behind you as his smile got bigger. Ayato handed the pages back after swiftly leafing through them and pointing at the highlighted passages. Scene 4, Act 4, he said, his excitement subtly infecting his tone. This is where my character helps Emperor Edo relax. You furrowed your eyebrows, confused. I was under the impression that Hubert was Kaya's role. Ah, I've forgotten to inform you, but I've replaced Albert since the eye incident. You know little about this We Will Be Reunited play for 8 of Addicts of involved, but based on word of mouth, it appeared to be about an emperor and a retainer had to betray former classmates to win the Continental War. Seems like he wanted you to read the Emperor's lines. He dimmed the lights to set the scene. Thankfully, only the two of you occupied his Tapro's room. There's no one else lingering in the East Wing, including Dr. Albedo's room next door. I see, you muttered. So, I shall be the first to start, correct? Sir Kamisada nodded. Yes, you can begin with the "You think doesn't help me" line. You cleared your throat and repeated the phrase with much fervor. I mean, I trust you, Hubert, but I'd rather not face another disappointment in life again. Just like that, Kamisato Ayato's demeanor shifted. My Emperor Fox, I know that trusting another person isn't easy, especially for someone like you with high status. He spoke, voice laced with compassionate conviction. But you have placed your trust in me, and of course, I will not let you down. As you listened to his delivery, you struggled to contain your grin of pride. For someone who looked ready to sleep on the floor when he entered the room, his voice carried an emotional weight worthy of becoming a professional theater actor. Hence, you decided not to comment on how you used your name instead of Emperor Adele for the sake of momentum. He knows what he's doing. This is the first time he called you by your first name. He's trying to fluster you. Hubert, you muttered melodramatically, not knowing how the character should act or sound. Fine, do what you must. Thank you, my dear. You took another glance at the script and noticed that there weren't as many lines left for your character, which annoyed you. It seems that Sir Kamisato deliberately set you up to fail. How can you win when he hasn't even gone through one-third of his lines and you have already finished yours? Adele, I need you to look at me. He spoke softly. I need you to listen to the sound of my voice and follow my lead. Understood? Since you weren't sure what to say in the first place, you didn't improvise any lines. You continued to sit next to him. He raised his hand near your face while he reads his lines. Your eyes naturally focus on his index and middle fingers as he points them up in the air. You don't understand the reasoning behind it, but there will be consequences if you check the script to see if that's written down. He would make up some nonsensical justification to deduct your points for this acting game. It's obvious. He's not the only person in the world that can plot things like these. Are you still listening? He muttered in a crisp yet low voice. Your eyes squinted a little in an unsuccessful attempt to focus on his hazy image. You were naturally more inclined to focus on the two fingers between your faces, struggling to keep yourself awake. Struggling to keep yourself awake. He moved his fingers slowly to the left. My liege, the pressure you're carrying is an unimaginable, heavy burden. He slowly shifted his fingers to the right. His voice was barely above a whisper. And you were this siren's only listener. There's a rhythm in his delivery. The charisma that his singing voice would convey remained present in his speaking voice. Even the smallest of tasks have been assigned to you, each minor inconvenience stacking up stress you do not need to carry alone. But you must continue to trust me. Focus on no one else but me and my voice alone. Only I can help you relax. Are you so tired from work that this acting is actually working on you? His fingers moved to the left again. For unexplainable reasons, your breathing wasn't as shallow as it was earlier. You've made a mental note of how deeper it was compared to when Ayato first entered the room. Still, it's too much of a draining challenge to focus on his face that you allow yourself to become absorbed in watching his slender fingers instead. You can no longer see his blue hair or face clearly. Unbeknownst to you, your mouth was slightly agape, and Ayato had been clenching his other hand tight in an attempt to resist the urge to capture your lips. He dryly cleared his throat in a near inaudible sound. Ayato needed to take this slowly. He won't repeat the same mistake twice. This method may not be as comfortable as I would have hoped. Perhaps a tad bit extreme, but I assure you that it is effective. Adele. He bit the inside of his cheek. Please, follow my lead. Of course. Left, right. Left, right. Your eyes moved as you commanded. Left, right, left, right. He chanted those words thrice and more. Why do you feel like you've done this several times before? Sir Kamisato kept talking and talking. His features blurred and the outline of his lips and nose disappeared, but his lilac eyes were clear, eerily clear, as if it was the only feature of his visage left. You held back a yawn, your softly reminded that the room remained dark, lulling you without questioning his face's uncanny emptiness. Nearly faceless. You blink laconically. What's going? Sir Kamisato, I... I... I think I might have to take a break. Kamisato Ayato smiled, but you couldn't see that. An important dimension to the concept of therapy is how the therapist and their perceived environment. One important set of beliefs that the patient must hold is their conception of trust they have for their therapist and the safety that come along with it. You can no longer follow a string of words. Was that from the script? Or is he talking to you? He continued, his grin growing wider. It warms my heart to know that you trust me, my bed. Trust me enough to believe I would receive the lead role. Trust me enough to mindlessly believe that there's a scene in that requires hypnosis therapy. Take a break. You deserve to rest more than I do. That was the only full sentence you understood. Promise. Promise you'll wake me up. Kamisato Ayato opened the door to the closet, and your heart finally sank. You gasped as a pair of empty lilac eyes towered and stared you down. He bent down and lovingly grabbed you by the arm like one of his sister's stuffed animals, leaving you with nowhere to run. Your perception of an upstanding nobleman was shattered and stepped on as his twitching hands yanked you by the collar. His fingertips were red, his fingertips warm, and it was all because of the mess he made with the torn up pillows earlier. He found you. The first game concluded, and much like the second game with Adele and Hubert in the present, Kamisato Ayato won this round. There you are. Why, I never would have guessed that you're a sleepwalker. Fox. Fox. Where are you? Kamisato Ayato, a broken boy, hugged you. You can't hear him. You can't breathe enough. You can't feel his warmth. All you feel is a restricting pain in your chest that screams this was the end of the line. You can no longer function. He can't have that. He doesn't want to see you like this. He loves you. Don't you understand that? Then why were you shaking? No, no, no. Breathe, breathe. Why do you look so terrified? Please. His hands trembled as he held you, no longer from anger, but from fear. He doesn't want to break you. Please don't be scared of me, Fox. He whimpered desperately. Selma, I need help, right now. Ayato bit his lip as he rubbed circles on your shoulders. He doesn't know what to do, but there's only one objective left in his mind. Amisato Ayato needed to find a way to put you back together. He nodded, playing with your hair. It's been months since that incident now. Thanks to Lady Yai's help, you would have likely forgotten all about it. You're back, almost brand new, and your health had become his priority. Kamisato Ayato, idol and heir of the Kamisato clan, will not repeat the same mistake twice. Promise, I won't forget to wake you up, Fox. After all, it seems I'm close to mastering my skills on debris. Hayato cooed and kissed her forehead, but you're already deep in sleep to know that. I promise I will no longer break you, unlike last time, my beloved.